Creepypasta episode 4, story 1, Llorona hunting, sent by some stupid hippie.
I'm partially Mexican, so I know about La Llorona. I have a personal experience about La Llorona, so I feel a connection, I feel a kinship. I feel like no one's ever really done La Llorona justice. This story's pretty good, I'll say that. The movies are all horrible, they're terrible, they're terrible, not good, no. When I was young, though, I was camping with my dad and my stepbrothers and my uncle and my stepmom. And we were around a campfire, and my dad was very dramatic, and he told this story about La Llorona, the original story. Or one of the originals, I don't know. But we're camping, and it's basically like, she falls in the river because the bridge breaks, gives birth to her baby, loses it, and she's like the Walking Dead looking for her baby. So she goes to campsites, in the middle of the night looking for her child. And if you get scared and scream, she'll grab you and drag you into the lake. And that's the story of La Llorona. So my dad's telling the story of a dun 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 my scrotum. No. So my dad's telling the story of La Llorona, and I asked the question. I'm like, "What happens if you make her pissed, man?" And he's all like, "Oh, I don't know." And then all of a sudden, out in the distance, we heard an actual, real scream, and all of us were visually shaken. I'm asking my dad, I'm like, "Did you plan that?" Because he's funny like that. And he's like, no, that was, I don't know what that was. So I'm not saying anything happened at all, but this is funny to me. And I really always am curious when someone writes something about La Llorona. So this one is called La Llorona hunting. Not to be confused with Good Will Hunting, unless this is about a zombie woman who lost her baby, who has this brilliant mind for mathematics, and has a thick Boston accent. Do you... I can't even do the apples joke. You like apples? I don't even know what accent that is. Never mind. I'm not doing Boston. Yeah, you like apples? Here's some apples. So you want to take a walk on the wild side, huh? La Llorona came from out on the island. In the back room, she was taking people's children. So you want to take a walk on the wild side, huh? My dad and I were kind of junkies for this sort of thing. Now, don't get me all wrong or misled here. You want to actually see and touch the supernatural, right? This doesn't feel right already. You're not those kinds of... You're not those kinds of people who just quote, talk, unquote about it and then chicken out. Okay, so that's the actual sentence. You're not those kinds of people who just talk about it and then chicken out. Because you see, it's situations like this that make it real easy for the common motherfucker to bitch out. You see a horror film, you think of plans on how to observe it, and beat it, or even use it to your advantage. You're the kind of person who would enjoy seeking a... Oh, that almost went really bad. Seeing a... Okay, you're the kind of person who would enjoy seeing a... Okay, I already drove that joke home, so you go ahead and you take that where you want to, but here's the line. For those of you following along at home on your home computers, you're the kind of person who would enjoy seeking a hunt. Unfortunately, on UNFORUNATELY, fortunately. I can't tell you how many times my father and I went out to find nothing. It happens, nothing. Can't ask the supernatural to appear on a whim. Nothing. Everyone in San Antonio knows the story of La Llorona, and any child could tell you that La Llorona walks the banks of the river, crying and seeking out the children she drowned before she can enter heaven. Why is heaven is heaven an actual place? We have to capitalize geography, right? Okay. Seeking out the children she drowned before she can enter capitalized heaven. I'm pretty sure, after hearing all the stories, she's not a particularly vengeful spirit. If you don't know La Llorona, you need to rehearse. Hold on. If you don't know La Llorona, you need to research her story for yourself, yo. You personally need to make a decision. I am not going to type out her backstory for you because it takes away your choice on whether or not you want to pursue the hunt. So stop right here if you're a Yankee from the North or need a refresher on the spooky tale. You'll only fool yourself into thinking you're ready when you're You'll only really fool yourself into thinking you're ready when you're really just unprepared. La Llorona hunting goes like this. Drive along the banks of the Guadalupe River or San Antonio River with your car headlights off. Keep mindful of other motorists and go slowly because you got your lights off and it's illegal and you're going to kill somebody. But you know, my scrotum, my La Llorona. Listen closely for the sounds of weeping or a woman calling out for her babies in Spanish. Once you hear the cries, stop the car and turn it completely off. Hopefully, it's really not a person who needs your help and who's crying out for her babies who can only speak Spanish because you're the sick fucker who's trying to find some weird ghost in some urban legend. Too many movies. Too many movies. Hopefully, you might see her walking along the riverbed, crying and calling out. Just watch. Don't interrupt her or anything, and don't try to interrupt her search. It's a fun game my dad took me along on. I started this hunting when I was just 4 years old. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm going to read it exactly how it says it. It's a fun game my dad took me along on. I started this hunting when I was just 4 years old, and I was sitting in my dad's truck as we were driving back from San Antonio. We used to hunt together until I was about 6. I mentioned that most of the time when we went hunting, nothing was actually found, except the very last time. And isn't that always how it goes? Seriously, it's always the last one that fucks you over. You need to know when to stop. Quit while you're ahead. Because really, no one's ever like, oh man, I don't regret that last one. No, you always do regret that last one because that last one is the one that made it the last one. Yeah, it's the last one. Yeah, it's gone. Just like Glenn Frey. And you know what? No disrespect. I'm being a bigger person. Except the very last one. I was 6 years old and it was my birthday. My dad forgot about getting me presents or even a cake, so he drove to San Antonio after getting off work, telling me that I could pick out anything I wanted. I was upset. Of course, because as a kid, we all want our birthdays to be special. Fair enough, that's totally true. It was 6 years old. I mentioned that most of the time when we went hunting, nothing was actually found, except the very last time. I was 6 years old and it was my birthday. My dad forgot about getting me presents or even a cake, so he drove to San Antonio after getting off work, telling me that I could pick out anything I wanted. I was upset, of course, because as a kid, we all want our birthdays to be special. The idea that our parents forgot about it or didn't care enough, it hurts us. It was already late, and the stores were all closed. I was sitting in my seat, crying for the millionth time, and my dad tried to appease me by buying a chocolate shake from Whataburger. I've never had a Whataburger, but I'm assuming it's a burger place. Of course, I was crying so hard that the shake just dropped out of my hand, and my dad instinctively yells about the product staining the floor. About the Product of what? He pulls over to a car wash and starts scrubbing and vacuuming the floor, having enough of my tantrums and telling me to grow up about having a crappy birthday. Crappy birthday to you. Crappy birthday to you. Crappy birthday, bratty child. La Llorona's coming for you. I just turned on my shoulder and told him that I wanted to go home and I didn't want to be out here anymore. My dad gets angry and stressed, slams the door shut, and tells me that if I don't stop mourning over spilled milk, he'll find La Llorona and give me to her. Dude, what's up with dads being dicks in these stories? He has sort of a bad temper and doesn't really think his jokes are as offensive as they seem. Summer nights in July are hot and unbearable, so when he hits the first bank of the San Antonio River outside of San Antonio, makes sense, he shuts off the lights and stares at me. Doesn't make sense. He finally tells me that he's sorry he forgot my birthday and that he had to work so late. Makes sense. He loves me and he's grateful that for another year he gets his daughter. A little creepy. I wipe away the snot and tears from my face and say, I forgive you, Daddy. I love you, Daddy. He hugs me from across the seat and tells me that I can stop crying now and he'll take me back home. I'm not crying anymore. There's a moment of silence before my dad quietly says, "Don't look outside." And as a 6-year-old kid, of course you're going to try. And as a 6-year-old kid, of course you're going to try to look. I try to twist my head around, and all I see is a brief glimpse of a hand pressing against the passenger side window, saying, "Mi hija," over and over again, "Hija, hija," followed by some Catholic prayer in Spanish. That lady's at 16th and Mission every day. My dad reacts rather poorly and hastily, pulling his pistol and shooting at the window twice. Bad dad decisions. That seems to be okay. If there's going to be a drinking game associated with the show, it's time to start establishing rules. One of them is and the other one is bad dad decisions. So I'm going to try and point them out when I remember them, but and then bad dad decisions. So far, those are the two. Okay, so bad dad decisions. Cheers. I try to twist my head around and all I see is a brief glimpse of a hand pressing against the passenger side window, saying, "Mija," over and over again, followed by some sort of Catholic prayer in Spanish. My dad reacts rather poorly and hastily, pulling his pistol and shooting at the window twice. I guess that counts as two bad dad decisions, so, dose. The window glass falls down, and it's then that my dad realized he's rendered his child vulnerable. All I'm doing is screaming and wailing, not knowing what the hell is going on. The car isn't turning on. My dad is shouting. I'm crawling over the seat, forgetting my dad has a ready weapon in his lap. The gun discharges. Follow me. Can you feel me? There's a sharp, short shock on my leg. And behind me, I can hear noises as if someone is trying to crawl through the passenger window with their whole body, as opposed to leaving part of their body outside of it. From stress of the body, I throw up, and my mac and cheese dinner is all over the dashboard and my father's truck. Party foul. I can feel a warm hand around my ankle, almost gripping it. And then there's a warm light that floods the windshield. Bright, white lights that encompass and burn my eyes, making them sting. There's a little black spot on the sun today. High beams. Another car was traveling towards San Antonio and had high beams on, passing us without stopping. My dad holds me close and kisses me, telling me that he loves me. Creepy. The car turns on suddenly and he guns the gas, holding me in his lap, all the way back home. Creepy. I must have passed out because I don't remember the drive. Okay, no comment. It isn't until morning that I see the damage. The window is broken completely and glass is all over the passenger seat. Dried vomit is now stuck to his dashboard and it smells like sour milk and rotten garbage. So it smells like really expensive cheese. The bullet only grazed me on the shallowest surface of skin, leaving a very unique burn mark. Oh, it's a snowflake. There's no other evidence of another person in the car. After spending a day in shock and grief, my dad cleans his car and sells it the first chance he gets. He immediately resolves to work on his temper and took therapy twice a week for 6 years. And no matter how bratty or obstinate I get, he never once tells me he'll give me away or kick me out. I should mention that the tears of children or the weeping of children brings out La Llorona faster. I don't want to because I know some of you will intentionally drag your little ones out there, like my dad did, to lure her just to quench your thirst. Just remember, someone out there is always going to want your precious... Just remember, someone out there is always going to want your precious angels, and I doubt very seriously they'll give them back. One comment. The hunter will become the hunted. Categories: ghosts, ritual,